If I were to ask you what was the anime that single-handedly redefined the outlook on all things anime and manga related, what would be your answer? Of course, some of us, including myself, would say Naruto because, if we're being honest, Naruto really changed, if not impacted, the whole modern anime and manga industry, and not only just in Japan, but worldwide. And some of you might have gone as far back as saying Saint Seiya or Fist of the North Star because of what Fist of the North Star had impacted on JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, becoming the great, if not perfect, series we all know as of today. And if I'm being honest, with the answers I think a wide majority of you said would be pretty clear from the thumbnail, but much more than just answers, but the reconsidered meaning that these series have made on modern anime and manga. And as someone who grew up with a lot of these anime, I definitely see them as the anime template for a lot of our modern day masterpieces. If we take into account with what currently runs during these seasons of anime, for the majority, most if not all the shonen category, are all usually based around series that came prior before them. For example, currently I'm watching Jujutsu Kaisen, a series that has a vast amount of inspiration from series like Bleach and Hunter x Hunter. And even if we take a step backwards again, pretty much anything that was on air from the early to mid 2000s, I guess in this case, since we're on the topic of the shonen demographic, if you take the big three for example, the big three, One Piece, Naruto, and Bleach of course, also had its vast amount of inspirations coming from the series that came before them. And you know, the thing about these series, even now in today's modern day society, they're all appreciated for what they have become, even if they were inspired by something that, for the most part, heavily influenced their series and took aspects that could have been a little more original. But if we just go back to what I would call the golden age of anime and manga, we might be able to find what defines or what just makes a great classic anime. For starters, I think it would only be fair to start off with the anime that really got a majority of us to where we are today. And that anime of course would be Dragon Ball Z or Dragon Ball depending on your time frame. You see, the whole thing about the Dragon Ball franchise was that back then you weren't ever really watching the anime just to finish it or just to see what's happening because of something on Twitter. You would be watching the series because it would just be natural. And I think to cut it short, Dragon Ball and Dragon Ball Z did just that. The feeling of picking up the anime wherever, whenever it started playing, even if you were just watching the series out of order, you would for some reason still know what's going on because that's just one of the great fundamentals to a phenomenal series like Dragon Ball. And unlike most series today, I don't really think a lot of anime can just be picked up in the middle of the series and have everybody quite interested like how Dragon Ball did. Now, you might argue though, well, Augie, that's just Dragon Ball Z. It has no real plot to it. It's just a meathead battle shonen. And I mean, I'm kind of indifferent to that opinion because maybe I'm just blinded towards nostalgia. But at the end of the day, it's not like it was a bad thing to pick up Dragon Ball in the middle of the series because, I mean, you're still having a blast watching or reading the series. So I don't really see what the problem is. And not to mention, but Dragon Ball still to this day has some of, if not the greatest fight scenes in all of anime. And not a lot of series in today's modern age of anime can really say that. Everything from the choreography, transformations, and even the intense build-up. Well, maybe we can leave that last part out. But still, Dragon Ball and Dragon Ball Z still will always have the great essentials to what makes a great anime. And I guess it would only be natural to continue on with this series that, at least from my point of view, carried quite a lot of meaning to me when I was a lot younger. And if we're talking about an old school card game, my obvious answer would have to be Yu-Gi-Oh! Yu-Gi-Oh! For a lot of people was in the battle with its other peers like Pokemon and Bakugan. Well, maybe not Bakugan so much, but to me, I was more of a Yu-Gi-Oh! Kind of guy, especially as I got older because not only was the card game a whole lot of fun, but the anime took my expectations to a whole nother level. And I felt as if every time Yugi and his friends were preparing to duel, I was right there with them. And I guess that's something to take into account when experiencing a great classic anime, because not only do you get to experience a whole battle that has you on the edge of your seat, but a battle that makes you feel immersed into the world of Yu-Gi-Oh! And it goes without showing because if you were that kid with a dual disc back in grade school, you were the coolest kid back when Yu-Gi-Oh! Was in its prime. As for the anime though, there aren't really many series that I can think about that have multiple consecutive parts to it where, if you're like me, the first three are the only good ones, but after that, it slowly decreases in its originality or just gets flat out boring. The original Yu-Gi-Oh! Though, on the other hand, always kept me involved with the characters as well as the main plot of the story. But overall, Yu-Gi-Oh! Has the foundations of a great, if not perfect, classic anime because of all the inspiration that came after that onto either newer series similar to Yu-Gi-Oh! Or the fundamentals it brought to the card game that made it what it is today. And I thought this one was going to be easy, but the more and more I thought about this particular anime, the more I came to understand how great of an anime Yu Hakusho was. And just a quick disclaimer, I never actually finished Yu Hakusho. Hell, if I'm being honest, I never even finished the Dark Tournament arc. But you know, back when Toonami was a thing, I used to pick up on Yu Hakusho more than anything back in the prime days of its premiering. And what had me the most is that that it was similar to Dragon Ball and Dragon Ball Z. It was something that I didn't really have to watch the series in a particular order to know what's really going on. I think the beauty of Yu Hakusho really resonates within the story and the amazing fights combined in one. You see, unlike Dragon Ball, I think that it's a safe bet to put that Yu Hakusho had the best of both worlds. Great fights, great characters, and an amazing plot line. Well, at least from my experience and my peers around me. And if we're being honest, the main character Yusuke Urameshi really set a tone for the template of shonen protagonists for future series to come. I mean, you don't really have to watch this series to get that. I think that for all things considered though, Yu Yu Hakusho can be considered one of the greatest classic anime of all time. And just the thought of how much stronger the characters were in this series compared to other shonen series really is something to take into account as well. It's a series I definitely need to sit down and watch all the way through, but I just thought it would be nice to pay my respects to the GOAT that came first. Cause if you know me, Hunter x Hunter can kick rocks. And you know, for just an easy going about this, we might as well include a few other anime at that. And well, to be honest, I probably would have never found these anime unless it were for Twitter or any big mainstream social media platform. Of course, Neon Genesis Evangelion and Cowboy Bebop are two other pretty well-known classic animes that without them probably wouldn't be able to set a tone for most of the great if not perfected classic animes. For starters, Neon Genesis Evangelion, debatably the king of mecha anime. To be perfectly honest, what really makes Neon Genesis a great classic anime is the amount of work orchestrated into this mecha anime. Everything from the plot to the characters to really just the standout and about Evangelions, this anime from even someone who has no context to the show whatsoever can pick out the name of this series just purely from the popularity it has made throughout the last 20 years or so. And I'm not saying popularity is what makes something great because it's not, but it definitely influences the great aspects that sometimes an average watcher wouldn't pick up. And even for Cowboy Bebop is pretty much in the same realm of things. Our main character Spike Spiegel is more often than not either thrown in a conversation about the best anime character of all time.
Hey! What he pick? Spike.
Or just seen as someone that represents a great classic anime. I mean, who can appreciate a great haircut like the man Spike does? But to be quite frank, Cowboy Bebop for a lot of people had some of the most memorable moments in all of anime, and I think that can be taken into account when being asked about what makes a great classic anime. But that's all I have for you guys today. Let me know what you guys thought about the video in the comment section below, and if you want to leave a comment suggesting an idea for a video, be more than happy to do so. I love reading the comments, and maybe if you post an interesting topic, I'll choose yours and make a video on it. And guys, if you did enjoy today's video, make sure to leave a like on the video and subscribe to the channel if you are new. Also, forgot to mention, but there's a link to my Discord in the description box down below if any of you would like to join. With that, everyone, my Twitter is @AnimeAlgie, and as always, I will make sure to catch each and every single one of you guys in the next video. Peace.